So we got the 2011 Ford F150, and if you watch a couple of my other videos, I've done the oil pan gasket, and this is the four-wheel drive with the 5.0, which wasn't a bad job, so we changed that because that thing was just puking oil. And we also did the valve covers, which he upgraded to the aluminum Ford Performance ones. So the truck's been running great. Almost 200,000 miles, no issues, smooth as a whistle. But the other day, customer goes in, he goes to start it, no start. Bummer. So we go through the simple diagnosis. We check the battery. Battery has a full charge. This is not a rust vehicle. This is a Southern vehicle. It's whole life, no corrosion or anything like that. Everything looks good. So went the old-fashioned way, took a hammer, smacked the starter a couple of times, fired right up. Easy way to prove that the starter is bad. So we're going to be changing the starter on this. Now, in this situation, that's kind of easy, but there are some vehicles where the starter is located underneath the intake manifold. And I think the Toyota 5.7s, they're located like right underneath the exhaust manifold, something to that effect. But in those cases, you're gonna have to probably do a little more electrical diagnosing, checking for, voltage draw and all that type of stuff, powers and grounds. But if your starter is easily accessible and it's not starting, give it a smack, see if that works. And that just might get you home. This morning, went to fire it up, obviously didn't fire up, gave it a couple of smacks, it was good to go. So this is what we got. Customer supplied their own parts and he went OEM. Motorcraft. These are the part numbers. Let's take a look at it. Pretty. I'm not sure how much he spent for it, but he did say it wasn't cheap. Oh, so this is a reman? Ford deposit. Yeah, reman Motorcraft. Don't know who remanufactured it, but either way, I'd rather have a reman or a new OEM versus a new aftermarket. And the reason is that sometimes they make things a little different. They don't last as long. Not saying that remans are perfect, but you have better chances with them. So first things need to do is disconnect the battery. Don't want to get shorted, that would not be good. Or get zapped. Where is it? One-handed? There we go. Battery right there, and I think we gotta loosen that, so let's find a tool. I think that's an 8. That. Actually, do I have my gun? There we go. Pretty sure it's an 8. Is this how you get loosened? Sweet. And my advice, when you disconnect the battery, make sure it's in a position where it's not going to snap back and make contact. That's happened to me. So I like to make sure that, there we go, it's a lot better. It's tucked away, and I don't have to worry about it accidentally letting go and making contact. Scary feeling. All right, so I went ahead, I jacked it up on the passenger side, got on the frame right over there. Give me a little more room to squeeze in there. I'm sure you could probably finagle and not have to do that, but a little extra room, and I probably could go higher, but I think this should be good enough. But anyways, this needs to come out. I need more room. I think these are 13, maybe 14s. This skid plate. Nope, probably a 12. Yep, there's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one actually has a little weight to it, so those are great. It's not. And then with that, it gives us access to our prize. So looks like we got 2 cables on the starter. I think there's a ground, which is this one right over here. Maybe a ground, probably is. That goes into the bolt that mounts into it. So I'm thinking we could feed our ratchets through here and get to it. And taking a look at the repair guide, there's a bolt up on the top, which is, you know, one of those. So we'll have to finagle, and swivels might be our friend. So we'll see what happens. And on a side note, I wish they still made steel oil pans. Look, folks, I got a place for my light. On some of these new vehicles with plastic and aluminum oil pans, it gets a little hard to find a place to mount your magnetic light. So just my 2 cents. So I went ahead and took off this cross brace. It's a 15 and an 18. Popped it out, and number 1, it'll give me better camera footage, hopefully. And number 2, I think it might make it a little more easier to squeeze in there. So we'll see. Now, I think what I'm going to go ahead and do first is take off that red cable, the other cable attached to it. We have a cover right over here. Oh, pops off easy. Sweet. And I think that's what, a 10 and an 8 maybe? All right, is this little one? All right, so the little one's a 10. I think the other one's a 14. Okay, 10. Can I get this in there? Might be easier with a wrench. Can I get away with this? Yep, 13. Ratcheting wrench for the win. I really didn't think it was going to squeeze in there. All right. Delete. Now let's move on to this one. All right, folks. So I decided to start with the worst one, which is the top bolt. There's not a lot of room up here. You got the exhaust, cats, the frame. This one's a little tough one. So I used a 14mm 1/4 inch socket, the longer one, with the 1/4 inch ratchet, and just kind of pulling down on it, I was able to break it loose. Thankfully, this is not a Rusty Crusty vehicle, or that might have been more difficult. It's tight, it's not easy. I did try a couple of wobble extensions that I had, but I don't know, it just wasn't getting the leverage that I needed. And maybe you could probably get a bunch of long extensions and feed it from the front to over here, and that would work. But that one's a bear. It took me about 20 minutes to get this thing out, so I'm gonna knock this one out. I'm slowly getting it little turns by little. And then, you know, of course, the fun part of putting it back in. Great. But I'm gonna get this one out. I'll be able to show you a little better, and then we'll knock out these other two. So that top one came out, took a little bit, not easy, and now gotta deal with the one below it, which is, these are all 13s, I'm assuming. And I'm learning 1/4 inch ratchets are your friend, because the way that one's positioned, folks, you really can't get to it. I mean, it's just, and the other issue you run into, and I know you probably can't see it on the camera, is that if you don't get the right lengths, you're either going to hit the starter, the bolts that it goes to, or the frame. So you kind of got a wobble extension. And I'm thinking that might work. Hey, jeez. There we go. Yep, I think I got it. Alright, so, yep, 1/4 inch wobbles, a lot of patience, and this will come out. I will say, I've done many starters, and so far this has been the least fun that I've ever had to do. I'm sure there's worse, and you can let me know in the comments, but I don't like this one. So, get this one loose. Alright, and let's jump onto this one. This is that ground, I'd assume. Alright, probably can see a lot better now. But like I was talking about, the bolt above here, extension, wobble, 1/4 inch, 13. This one is the easiest one in the sense that you have room to work. Oh, come on, don't. There we go. All right. Let's at least get that stud loose. And then we could take those 2 bolts out. Ooh. Jeez, and bananas. All right, so these are all loose. I'll take this one in the middle, this one out, and then we'll come back. All right, here's this last one. Well, the good thing is that once you loosen them, these you can spin out by hand, so that makes it more efficient. Come on. All right, here comes the prize. Don't fall on my face. Folks, I think this is a lot easier without that crossbar. That might be the play. Starter, delete. Oh, man. That one sucks. But, you know, it's good. As you can see, that top bolt right up there, well, that's where it goes into. That's the one that's a bit of a fighter. Unfortunate. So, anytime you change anything, always inspect your parts. Because there was actually a time I changed the starter on a vehicle and it just would intermittently crank. Sometimes it would, sometimes it wouldn't. And I was like, what in the world? And I didn't inspect it. Long story short, it was a bolt like this that just wasn't tightened from the factory. So, yeah, that's why you always gotta inspect it. We don't have to do the job twice. And then just hope that the actual starter works. But that's another story. But so far, looks good. Looks identical. Trying to see if there's like any improvements or anything like that. Yeah, everything looks the same. The ears line up. And then also, another reason why you inspect it is if you try to put it in, it's not fitting properly, and you're fighting with the bolts. There could be slight manufacturing differences. In this case, these are remanufactured, so it shouldn't have that issue, but I've seen that with the aftermarket brands, like maybe the hole's a little too small, it's off-centered, and then the starter just doesn't fit in right. That's why I'm a firm believer in reman or OEM. I mean, it's hard to find aftermarkets that really, really have good quality anymore, but that's another story. Yeah, today was not the day, even though this is not that heavy, but today was not the day to do a bunch of push-ups, bicep curls, all my weight exercises, because my arms feel like spaghetti right now. Worn out from my exercises. Ow, ow, ow. Okay. And now we got to, you know, get you in position, and I think you're gonna go right there. Yep. And it probably would have been a good idea to grab one of the bolts. Can I reach it? Can I reach it? There we go. Woo. Note to self: do not do weight training before working on the car. Makes everything heavier. Alright. And of course, that's not the one that goes there, but it's fine. He'll hold it in place. What I want to try to do is finagle the one up top. That's going to be the fun one, and I know you can't see it, but this part of the job is a lot of feeling around, you know? Yeah, let's swap this one out. Put that middle one in. I think I got like a thread or two on the top one, Probably not. So I wouldn't trust it, you know, to rest on it. But yeah, I don't think I got anything up there. Let's get the right one in. Okay, middle one in. Whew, that top one, it'll get you. But got it nice and tight. All the other ones are tight, so we're looking good. Torque specs, good luck. But anyways, let's go ahead and get this ground in. Pop this one in. Let's pop you back in. Now I am reusing the old nut from the old starter, just because it has a washer and it just seems a little beefier. Maybe overkill, but I like it better than the new one. New one looks really cheap. I think this one I was able to do it with the ratcheting. Maybe, yeah. And this is 13. Pretty much everything is 13 and 15. No 14s. My mistake. Okay. Nice and secure. Everything looks good. All right, let's put the skid plate on and fire it up. Make sure everything's good. You know, as much as I complain about my garage and how small it is for the projects I want to do, moments like this, I'm very thankful because at least I'm able to have the truck halfway in, not get wet, and still get the job done. So everything's put back together. Let's go ahead and do this. Tighten that up. Yeah. Fire the truck up before I put it down, just in case. Now, if you've messed up some wires or anything, you put in that battery, thing might try to keep starting on its own. So, just something to think of. All right, what's the mileage? 198,089.5. Beautiful. All right, so good to go. Fired up a couple of times, took a couple of measurements on the draw and amperages and all that type of stuff, and everything's within specs. And then obviously it was obvious that the starter was bad in the sense that what it would exactly do was that you would go to start it and you would hear the starter motor spin, but it wouldn't engage. And once you smack it, then it would engage when you go to start it, and you were pretty good. You know, just tap it with a hammer, don't go too crazy, and that kind of loosens it. And that's also a good way to, number one, help diagnose it, or number two, get you going if you're in a pinch. In my truck, my little tool bag, one thing I do keep is a hammer, just for set occasions, for other people, or even myself. You never know. But like I also talked about, if your starter's underneath your intake, like the Toyota Tundra is 4.7, and there's a couple of other manufacturers that do that. Yeah, not much you can do there, and it's a way bigger job. Now, as far as this job, it's a pain in the butt. That top bolt is not fun, not easy. Thankfully, this vehicle is not a rust belt vehicle, because if it was a rust belt vehicle, number one, you run into the issue of the bolt potentially snapping. Number two, getting it out with that 1/4-inch ratchet is probably not possible. I did look online, and there's something where people say take out this tire, run a couple of swivels and extensions and everything, and I'm sure that would work, but either way, it's still a pain in the butt to do.